Have you ever wondered how infinite our universe is? How great and incredibly wise is the one who created it all? This great creator gave us freedom of choice, but how we use this freedom is up to us. In the midst of this vast universe, our story begins in a land of grace, created from the light of the goddess. This land of grace was on a planet called Lunaria. It is inhabited by all sorts of races, led by their kings who strive to maintain balance. But one young and powerful king wanted to rule them all. He was proud, and pride is the first sin committed by a former angel who later became a demon. This young king was a mighty and invincible tyrant. He was a demon king. This demon was shrouded in evil. His devilish eyes could not just look at ordinary mortals. A vast army gathered. All of them had to put aside their differences and unite for the first time in history for a single purpose. And that goal was to kill the demon king. It was the most important thing right now. All those warriors stopped before the battle and began to pray to the great goddess named Stella. They asked her to grant them her blessing, to save them all from the demonic plague. To oppose the young demon king came out absolutely everyone. It was both men and women. The young elf woman was very worried and said that she did not want to die. The man who stood in front of her told her to calm down because he would protect her at the cost of his life. The number of soldiers and adventurers gathered here is astonishing. The young boy looked around and saw that the demon king didn't stand a chance. At least he hoped so. Everyone realized that this demon is incredibly powerful. After praying, all the warriors who had gathered together saw a dark star in the sky that was approaching them. At that moment, they all realized that this was the demon king. They shouted that the demon king was here. The young king approached them and thought that it was a great favor of theirs that they were all gathered here. How it would be easier for him to destroy them all in one fell swoop. Those who came to destroy him were amazed that he had appeared here so quickly. After all the demonic lands were still hundreds of kilometers away, people began to flee in a completely different direction. Seeing that these people are retreating, the demon king decided to act. He raised his hand in the mountain and in the sky formed a lot of devil pentagrams. Some of those present were trying to escape. Some had already resigned themselves to their deaths. All races were there. Some of the warriors noticed that it became very hard to breathe. It was an incredible magic of a huge scale. It looked like they had no chance of surviving after all. Suddenly, a lightning bolt appeared in the sky. It was an unusual lightning bolt, and it was not the sorcery of that demon. A blonde-haired girl appeared out of that lightning. She screamed for the demon to stop. It was another incredible and powerful force. It came out from somewhere under the ground. In a split second, this force went straight towards the demon king. Seeing the danger approaching him, the demon immediately put up a magic shield. But the girl who possessed a powerful force did not stop in front of this shield. She, with incredible speed, crashed right into it. At the same moment, there was an incredibly large explosion. Everything around it rumbled, and the sky was dotted with huge explosions. It looked as if the forces of good and evil had met together, clashing in mortal combat. After their collision, it seemed to everyone around that a meteorite of incredible size had fallen to the ground. Immediately afterward, thick smoke appeared at the place where the huge explosion took place. In fact, it was the same blonde-haired girl. She fell to the ground, leaving a huge crater under her. When the smoke cleared, she could be seen better. She seemed to be completely unharmed despite everything that was going on around her. At the same time, the demon king looked down on her. He was fine too, but his armor had crumbled from the impact. He looked at her and thought that this girl is too strong. She can resist him despite her weak human body. This can't be. The young king was interested. He asked the girl, where did he get such strength from? The girl looked at him. She too realized that this king is quite a strong opponent. The demon king said that there is no way that such power can be in an ordinary person. And even if she does not even think that she can hide it from him, one way or another this power will belong to him. These words were said to her by the young king. The eyes of the powerful girl glowed with yellow light. She said that this is something he is unable to understand. Demon? The proud demon looked at his opponent with arrogance. He asked, what is it that he is incapable of? During this conversation, he landed on the ground. The girl lit up with a light flame as if preparing to attack. The young king told her that in front of her now stands the demon king. There is nothing in this world that she can do that he can't, so what is it? The young self-powerful girl answered him to his questions. The power he can't understand is love. She shouted the word so loudly that her scream could be heard for miles around. The young demon king looked at her with surprise and interest. He even thought about something for a few seconds, but then thought, that is, she wanted to say that she broke her specially forged armor of dark matter and the spine of a bloody manticore using the power of love. The blonde-haired girl looked at him, but something confused her. And then she replied that it was just that. The power of love is limitless. Then the demon was silent for a few seconds, he thought. His head was going through many mental processes. And then he realized that he had no idea what it was. Maybe it was a spell. It destroyed his armor. He'd been forging it for 50 years. It seemed to be their human secret, converting emotions into concentrated attack magic. Or maybe it was some kind of curse. It seemed to be a love curse. What the hell is love anyway? This obviously made him nervous. He decided he needed to calm down. He was a demon who had been searching for a way to gain power for hundreds of years. Somewhere he had heard about the power of love. This is the first time this has happened to him. His combat strategy is in jeopardy. But he must not show his enemy that he is most likely incapable of love. Hell, he doesn't even know what it is. The powerful girl looked at him and realized that it seemed to be really true. She asked him if he really didn't know anything about love. The young demon king realized that she knew everything. He panicked even more. The girl asked him again when she saw that he had a strange expression on his face. The demon hesitantly said that this is ridiculous. In front of her is the most powerful and evil demon king. As he said, he can do anything even on this love of hers, and he will prove it to her. Unable to withstand such tension, the demon king quickly disappeared in another direction. He told the girl that they would meet again. The blonde-haired lady was about to fight him, but suddenly her opponent quickly disappeared. This made her angry. How dare he even dare? It wasn't even serious. Some time had passed since then. The demon king went to his castle. His castle was in an impregnable place. It was also enveloped in a force field that protected it from destruction. And the demons animatedly argued about the fact that their king retreated. In the midst of the battle with the hero, he decided to return the castle. Another demon said that this cannot be. The king would never retreat from the battlefield. The first general of the demon army asked where he is now. The demonic girl brought him to their king. Then she told him that even after returning, he sits all day and looks at the sky. He's also mumbling something to himself all the time, probably discussing a new strategy for the battle with the hero. And the king was thinking about the fact that he is really unable to love, and trying to figure out what love is. The demon was thinking about the fact that he loves war. It also counts, doesn't it? The first general of the demon army looked at the king. He didn't even know what to say to him. Then the young demon king got to his feet and said in a voice that he had decided that he was leaving. And at the same moment, sharp as lightning, he flew away from the place where he had just been. At the same moment, the first general rushed after him. He tried to talk to his king. He told him not to make rash decisions and wanted to know where he was going. Then he thought that even though, why would he even ask that? Wherever he was going, he would always be there to support his king no matter what. The young king looked at him and said he was going on a quest to find love. The first general of the demon army was horrified by such words. He thought that he should not have said all this. After a while, the demon in search of love arrived in the human kingdom. He walked through those lands and looked around, trying to find something that could help him. The demon king adopted a human disguise. It was very easy to penetrate the defenses of the human kingdom. Now he can see with his own eyes the love that the heroine is so proud of. Then he used his power called the demon's eye. This way he could see what ordinary people could not see. Immediately, this vision transported him to different points around him. After a while, he could see that a man was standing near some girl and told her that he liked her at first sight. The girl was obviously nervous, but he told her not to be afraid. He just wanted to have some fun. If that's what love is, then it's pretty simple, now that he's figured out how to do it. Everything in this world comes with experience. He should try it right now. The young demon started to look around for a girl he could try what he saw not too long ago. Finally, he met some girl. She seemed to be the one, the perfect target. He quickly approached her and gently grabbed her shoulder, telling her that he liked this lady at first sight. The young lady turned around to face him and asked him what he wanted. But then our protagonist got an unexpected surprise. It was this most powerful girl hero, but why did he fall on her? Meanwhile, he was looking for the first general of the army of demons. He himself could not understand how he could lose in the crowd of his king. The girl he stopped looked at him and asked him again, I think he said he liked her? The young king thought that he was now very much screwed if she found out that he was a demon king and had infiltrated the human kingdom. But the worst part was that she would realize he wanted to find love here and laugh at him for knowing he knew nothing about love. He was ashamed at the thought. She would definitely make fun of him. Now he had to act decisively. He had to come up with a human-like excuse. The white-haired guy said that he wanted to tell her that he liked her fighting style. It was amazing how she could switch between magic and close combat. And he was thinking about how easy it was. Anyone would buy it. The girl started acting strange. She asked, what kind of fighting style? And how did he even know about it? It's a secret no one knows. After saying that, she jumped up the mountain with an incredibly high jump and jumped away from the demon. She then said that there were only 2 people in the whole world who knew about it. her, and the one who made her go all out. It was a great foolishness on his part to show his face here. And immediately he was discovered. The girl realized his name was Dazil, the same Demon King. She herself was thinking that now he had come at a very bad time. At the moment, she was not mentally prepared to negotiate with the Demon King, so she was very nervous. Then she thought back to what she had said to that demon the first time they met. Those memories drove her into embarrassment. No one would say so and so. And there are stereotypical phrases about love. How embarrassing for her. She had honed all her fighting skills, studied different schools of spells, and did everything she could to fight him. But she didn't think she would have to come up with phrases to silence this demon. And why did he keep talking? After these thoughts, the blonde girl thought that it was probably a trap. His reaction was a trick, and he wanted to take her by surprise. He couldn't be serious. A demon king knows how to play on people's feelings. Now the girl stopped and thought that she would not make this mistake again. At the same moment, she applied Stella's graceful light. This color immediately appeared to her. The young and powerful girl was immediately transformed, her eyes glowing with a bright light and a powerful aura around her. The young king thought that it was better for him to get away from here now. The people who were nearby saw that it was her, the Lady Saint. Some people just looking at her already felt a warmth inside their hearts. People quickly began to surround her and asked her to give them a blessing. They asked her to look at each of them. This confused her. The people begged her to grant them illumination. The girl was perplexed. Meanwhile, the young demon stood behind the crowd, thinking that he should save her or he would torture her. She tried to explain to people that it is dangerous to be here. They need to move away. But people seemed not to listen to her at all. The girl thought that innocent people could get hurt, and it would all be because of her. Then, like lightning, the Demon King approached the girl and took her hand. He told her to hold onto him tightly. The girl didn't realize what he was doing. The young king snapped his fingers. At the same moment, they abruptly disappeared from where they were standing. Then lightning began to appear in the young king's room with a loud noise. The girl and the king fell on some soft place. The young lady needed time to recover. She, with her eyes closed, tried to get up and thought about being dizzy. What happened? The young king had told her that she wasn't that heavy, but still. Would she just keep sitting on it like this? The powerful lady quickly jumped up and shouted, "What is he doing?" The young demon king apologized and said that he could only teleport to the last marked place. And his mark was on the bed so that he could quickly leave the bathroom and immediately find himself here, the girl asked. So they are in his bedroom? The king replied that it is correct. They are in his castle right in the middle of the demon kingdom. The girl screamed. Did he really think she would believe that the demon king just wanted to help her? The white-haired guy with red eyes held out his hand and said that it was true after all. The powerful girl couldn't believe it. She decided to finish him off right there. Meanwhile, near the king's room, the demonic girl heard something going on there. She listened and heard that the king was telling someone to stop doing that because they were going to tear the whole bedroom apart. She decided to go in and say something to him. Carefully opened the doors and lowered her head. The demon lady asked her king for an apology and she thought he would go on a trip. Meanwhile, she heard a woman's voice talking about letting her go. The girl was yelling that he was doing dirty things and wanted to lock her in a dungeon, when the demonic girl quickly looked up to see what was going on here. Seeing that the king was not alone, she quickly left his bedroom and apologized to her lord. She didn't know he was in there doing such things. The demon king tried to keep the powerful girl from tearing up his room and then looked towards his maid. He thought, why is she running away? Some time had passed since then. The next event was developing in the human kingdom. The blonde-haired girl was thinking how unlucky she was. She had hoped that she would be able to see the city after having to represent the Holy Church at that tedious noble meeting. But instead, she met him. She thought about this demon king acting like he wanted to fight, but he didn't even reach less, and it seemed like he was up to something. And maybe this was his next ploy. Then, when he grabbed her hands, she lost all desire to fight and left. From the kingdom of humans, it's almost 15,000 kilometers, she was very tired of messing with him. Then she remembered that from tomorrow, she would start at the academy again. At least, she would be able to relax a little, here, on the holy church grounds, and away from his demonic presence. She lay on her bed and tried to process in her head what had happened not so long ago, but at the same time Daziel was watching her through the open window. We now turn our attention to the Academy of the Goddess Stella, an institution of the Holy Church. The young girl with goddess power was very sleepy. She spent the whole night looking for this demon king, but he disappeared as suddenly as he appeared. Most likely he used that ancient teleportation magic. She kept thinking about this demon king. Something suddenly caught her attention. She looked around and realized that there were a lot of people here. She asked what was wrong, and the girl standing next to her said that today was the day for accepting new students. Her companion said that she had heard that many young talents decided to enroll here because of this powerful girl. They called her Mrs. Saint, and she inspired them all very much. Now it made sense. She was a saint, and so it was assumed that she would not go to the academy and instead concentrate on preparing for her battle with the Demon King. But sometimes she wanted to feel like everyone else. So she asked the head priest for permission to go to the Academy of the Holy Church, and surprisingly he agreed. And now it was clear why he agreed. They want her to popularize the training at the academy so that more people will join the fight against the Demon King and his generals. The young lady suddenly saw that amongst the crowd was the Demon King and his general. The Demon General turned to his king and let him ask why they had enrolled in this human academy. He himself thought about the fact that this place exuded a holiness disgusting to him. It made him sick. The young Demon King replied that he happened to hear about this academy when he was researching the hero's residence. The general was very surprised that he was researching the hero's residence. Dazael thought about how it was no different than a battle. If he wanted to learn to love better than her, he had to understand the surroundings better, and he was glad that he had stumbled upon it. Tears began to flow from the eyes of the loyal general. They were tears of joy. The general realized that the king was finally coming to his senses. He really wanted to fight the hero, so he prepared so carefully. He was very happy for his king and thought that their victory was just around the corner. The young king told his general to remember one thing: keep your friends close and your enemies even closer. This raised the general's morale, and he shouted that they will bring out this general. The people who saw these two thought that they are big fans of Saint. Before they started the trials, all the participants were asked to make an offering to Goddess Stella. The offerings were divided into two parts. On the left were small offerings, and on the right were large offerings. Where there were small offerings, you are the main group of people gathered there. And where there were large offerings, there were only a few people. The demons looked at this and realized that there is a very big difference in social status. The young Demon King decided to bring an offering too. He took out a huge crystal and thought that it should be enough. The people who saw it were madly surprised, but they seemed to know what it was. The demon general thought that they seemed to be very surprised by what they do not see in front of them. In front of them is the highest quality materials, insanely rare gems that can turn weapons into relics. His king is much richer than all the combined human kingdoms in his prime years, such as he is honored with the best place. But the demons did not expect such a reaction. Those who were nearby rushed at these priceless items and began to burn them. But at the same time, they shouted that all forbidden items from the land of demons must be destroyed, and all of them must be burned to the ground. Then two demons left from the right side where there were large offerings and went to the right side where there were small offerings. Next, the students were showing off their skills. They were taking some tests. One of the guys was demonstrating a unique skill. He hit all the targets perfectly and he passed the test. This young guy said it was a pretty easy task. His name was Roland. He was the father of Duke Desmith's second son. It turns out that those who made large offerings had their prices on the test at a distance of 10 meters. And those who made small offerings, then their distance to the targets was increased by 100 meters. Obviously easier for those who made a large offering. The demon general thought that her fixation on social status is simply astounding. What is wrong with these people? The next attendee was a young demon king. An arrogant and rich boy wished him good luck and called him a peasant. The general was angry when someone treated his king with such arrogance. This young lad named Roland was quite popular with the girls, the young king wondered. Is he really loved? Then he thought about the fact that it seems that to get love, you have to show your abilities, even if those abilities are bad. So in that case, he decided to show his might and bring down the demonic power. He decided to go all out and summoned a meteor shower. The people who saw it were shocked. They thought it was some kind of ancient magic. The general smiled and thought about the fact that it was only a level 1 meteorite daughter. It looked great. Friends, I spend a lot of time and effort retelling a single manhwa. It takes several days, and my videos don't always pay off. If you like what I do and want to support me or see more of this manhwa, please use the super thank you feature. It really helps. And a huge thank you to everyone who watches the video to the end. I really appreciate it. The young king didn't think about the fact that someone would try to stop him now. But the young saint rushed into the epicenter of the attack and was already ready to use her magic. She placed a huge force shield around the shrine to save it from such a destructive force. And then she used the power of banishment, and all those meteorites crumbled into ashes. The Demon King could have destroyed them all, but he didn't realize it. Luckily, the young girl saved everyone. Then she swiftly walked towards the young king who looked like a human. She grabbed him by his clothes and screamed, "What the hell is he doing here?" She continued yelling at him and said that suddenly he left in the middle of their fight and then appeared out of nowhere in her city. And then he teleported her to his bed. And when she was about to fall asleep from exhaustion, he reappeared right outside her room. She asked him, does he realize how little sleep she had gotten because of him? One of those who were taking the exams approached Saint and asked who this man was. People were animatedly discussing what just happened. I think they heard the word bed. Maybe it's her boyfriend. No wonder he's so strong. You're a scandal. Is it her friend? That girl asked Mrs. Saint if they could move their private conversation to a more private place. The young blonde lady started to get very shy. She said it wasn't what they all thought. At first she wanted to say that she was facing the Demon King. But if she said that, there would be chaos all around. If they found out that the Demon King was in the Holy Church's territory right in the middle of the city, all the paladins and warriors of the church would go to battle, and the sacrifices would be countless. His what to do. The guy with red eyes asked, can he take the test again? Because someone interrupted him, the girl thought. Is this really what he cares about right now? The girl who was taking the test said that the rules only allowed one attempt. But if he and the heroine were so close, she thought that the previous one could be counted. At this moment, she was thinking that with this meteor storm, they could easily destroy the Demon King's army. Then, the Demon King smiled and said that if they think they are in a relationship, then it really is. Then the general went to the girl who takes the exams and said that he is also her acquaintance. And he too can cause a meteor. He just wanted to be close to his master. They could not hurt to do the test. He must be with his king no matter what. It was a few days later, the Demon King to enroll in this academy. Together with his general, they were walking in the vicinity of this big castle. The general was praising the Demon King's new uniform. Daziel said that it was a regular uniform, and his general replied that any uniform suited him. Suddenly, the general saw that on his king's forearm is a church symbol. He shouted, what is this symbol doing so close to his face? The young king replied that his general had the exact same one, and suddenly he noticed that all these people were paying attention to him. He asked, why is everyone looking at him? The general explained to him that it was elemental, and his meteor storm had caused a sensation. Obviously, people were now admiring him. But it wasn't like the love that guy named Roland was getting. People looked at him with some anger. They thought about him dragging their chaste mistress Holy to his bed. It's horrible. Some heard that he follows her everywhere. He also intimidated the examiner to get into the academy. He's a real scoundrel. Daziel asked how the training at the academy would take place. The general replied that today was only the first day, so maybe 200 kilometers of running for a warm-up. The king replied that it was too easy. But fighting a dozen minotaurs sounds more serious. But in any case, it would be easy for the king. After a while, a guy with red eyes stopped the general. The general asked what was going on. They were in enemy territory. Maybe he sensed danger. She looked over and saw the holy lady, pointed a finger at her, and told the general that they needed to go over there. Faith thought about the fact that she wasn't even trying to hide. The holy lady stood and looked at the Demon King with annoyance. She couldn't understand his plan. Then Daziel told his general to pretend not to see her. The girl was very angry that he was ignoring her. And then she ran after the Demon King. She yelled that she knew he could hear her, so he better stop ignoring her. And she had something to say to him about what he did the other day. The girl tried to catch up to them, but Daziel decided to teleport so she wouldn't get any closer to them. She stopped, and now she was asking him to just wait. She just wanted to talk. She was frustrated that no one was listening to her. She remembered that even the older priests blamed her for everything. She was a saint, and she should be an example to the others, but she couldn't tell the truth or everything would be in chaos. The young girl was overcome by unpleasant feelings, she thought. Why all this happened to her? She sat down and cried, but suddenly she saw someone's boots in front of her. It was a young Demon King. He asked her. What did she want to talk about? She had asked for it, after all. He had heard it just before teleporting away. He noticed tears in her eyes, and he wanted to ask her why she was crying. But before he could finish his sentence, the young girl kicked him in the face, screaming that she wasn't crying. The blow was so strong that the Demon King would have flown somewhere far away and hit the wall, but that was if he was a normal person. She screamed that she never cries, and especially not in front of some demon. But he easily stopped her mighty blow with just one index finger and then asked what was under her eyes. She said she was just angry. If he knew how much trouble she was in because of him, she thought in battle demons were straightforward and honest. If he wanted to fight, then she was ready to fight. But if he's just playing with her and wants to make her life a living hell, that's just awful. The young Demon King was silent for a few seconds. He was thinking about something and his face turned a little red. Daziel replied that he wasn't even thinking about it, he just wanted to know something. The girl yelled that he should probably talk, and he replied that he just wanted to understand what love was. She said, that's why he's here to learn at Human Academy. I couldn't believe my ears. A Demon King wanting to learn how to love. She stopped talking and covered her mouth with her hands. Daziel thought to himself that he knew she would be so glad she was right. Why did he even tell her the truth? After a while, the girl took a deep breath in and out. She told him that he was the Demon King, and she had no reason to trust him. She had to protect her people. But for some reason, she thought he was telling the truth. And that's why she believed he wasn't trying to do anything wrong. Besides, if he learned more about the humans, he might change his plans to conquer their kingdom. So this time she will let him do what he wants, but she will watch his every move. The girl looked at him and told him that if he ever hurt anyone in this kingdom, she would continue their battle and fight as hard as she could. When she asked him if he understood this, only the role of demons replied that he would promise her. She was incredibly surprised that he actually agreed to this. Then the young king parroted the girl, called her by name. Her name was Sylvia. Sylvia looked at him with a surprised look. Her face turned a little red. And then she screamed at him not to call her by her name so casually. Daziel asked her if she wanted him to call her hero or mistress saint. The girl said she didn't want to do that, because it was even more embarrassing. The next events unfold in the Demon Kingdom. Some things happened there too. The demon maid was approached by someone who said he was looking for her. Her name was Luna. It was the second general of the army of demons. The king ordered him to return. He cannot find him anywhere. He does not understand. Why no one ever tells him anything? Something happened? Luna replied that the king has been acting really strange lately. The last time she saw him, he brought some girl with him to his room. She explained that she didn't get a good look at her, but she seemed to be human, and she had a strong holy aura. The second general of the demon army became worried. Could the king have fallen under the curse of this horrible human church? After saying that, someone opened the door and entered the temple, exactly where your demons were now talking. Someone is standing in front of the king's room. The king said he won't be back anytime soon. He's holding the symbol of the Church of Stella. The second general thought it was true. He immediately jumped out of his seat and ran towards whoever was holding the symbols. Then he punched someone with all his might, screaming that they would let him rule their kingdom. Turns out it was the first general named Laverian. He held his cheek and yelled at the second general, saying he was stupid. He should have his eyes. Laverian shouted at the second general. How dare he raise his hand at him? He probably wants to take the post of the first general. The second general just raised his hands and said he came, and there was no one here. What is going on? Laverian asked what enemy he was talking about and how he came to this conclusion. The king himself teleported him here. 50 further information is confidential, but the truth is this is a secret infiltration. The second general was surprised. So it is a secret infiltration into enemy territory after all. Laverian replied that it is. It is a very serious task, and therefore only he can help the king, and the second general will hold the defense until they return. After all, only he is the first general of the army of demons, the best among mortal generals, is always invited personally by the king. He bragged to the second general and asked about when their lord entrusted him with the front line, and much more. The second general smiled and said that since he and the king were going, he would sit here for now. The second general wanted to sit on the king's throne, but Laverian yelled for him to get his ass off the throne quickly. And now back to the human realm of Goddess Stella Academy. The Demon King further went about his business. All the students also looked at him with displeasure. Daziel said that he was late yesterday and had not understood how this academy was organized. The first general, who flew from the Demon Kingdom 15,000 kilometers away, approached the king and asked for his deepest changes. He could not accompany him to the ceremony for the new students, and also someone was plotting treachery, but he took care of it. The Demon King told him not to worry about it, that it was his fault for forgetting to teleport back with him, and he wondered what kind of betrayal he was talking about. Laverian replied that at this academy you can choose your specialization freely, and he was also very flattered that the king had chosen him for the same specialization as him, but he wondered which one. Daziel replied that he was actually a bit confused when choosing, and decided to go with the one that said something about demons. He was sure it should be easy for them. The first general explained to his king that Exorcist was a class for those who wanted to exterminate demons with holy magic. The king replied that there was no need to worry about that. The humans were just starting to learn all this. The general replied that that was right, and they would be learning along with them in their class. It was just for newbie exorcists. What could go wrong? Suddenly, Sylvia appeared right in front of them. She said, "It's great that they chose exorcism. She's an exorcist too, and will train with them." The first general fell on his ass in surprise. He was surprised that the girl was also an exorcist, but she replied that the first general shouldn't worry so much. She didn't come to fight. The king asked what she was doing here then. Sylvia replied that she had already said that she would keep an eye on him, and since he has the same class as her, it would be much easier to do so. If he starts doing something strange, she better be close by. There's no telling what could happen on the training ground. like an accident that would only threaten demons. Daziel thought that this sounded like a truly terrifying, excellent, and sinister plan. The girl said that it did sound suspicious on her part. Apparently their demonic behavior had been passed on to her. Suddenly, Sylvia heard three girls talking behind her. They were discussing her and saying something about her boyfriend. The girl then told the king to just take her words to heart, and in case nothing strange and out of the blue and not acting like a demon, they shouldn't let anyone find out who they are. Daziel replied that she knows who they are. They are your strongest demons in the whole world. Getting lost in a crowd of other people would be easy. The general replied that his king thinks too highly of him. Then the girl remembered that it was time for morning prayers, and it was better not to be late or the high priest would be angry again. Daziel wondered what this morning prayer was all about. What was it all about? And then the morning prayer began at 7 a.m. in the church of Goddess Stella at the academy. Sylvia looked at the demons who were sitting in that church and she felt kind of bad. It looked like they were very bad. They were losing their power. Sylvia thought that they were somehow very badly lost in the crowd. They were literally evaporating inside from that church. Some more time passed. The two new students were discussing how excited they were and talking about which class they had chosen. The guy who was lower down answered that he chose the paladin class. They wear heavy armor. He bet he could stand up to even the strongest of them. And the guy who was higher up answered that he wanted to be an exorcist. It would be great to throw magic things at enemies, but he's not very good at it yet. But he's got a good grip on his sword, so he chose the Templar, the arrogant guy. Despite the sides just on purpose and brazenly decided to walk between those two guys. The guys were indignant, and the guy who pushed them told them to know their place because they were just lowlifes. The guys decided not to get into a conflict and just go on their way. They didn't understand what was wrong with this guy. He was wearing white clothes and therefore he was a nobleman. Finally, the church service was over. The demons who were sitting there slowly got up and could barely get out of there. They thought that it must be Sylvia's intrigue. Or maybe it's just not the right place for demons. That arrogant guy thought that these newcomers are wearing black uniforms. That guy thought that those lowlifes were daring to get close to the saint. This is the girl that all the nobles exalt. The guy had a pretty strong body. He decided to hit them with all his might. He sprinted, and with all his might he wanted to smash his shoulder into the king's body. But he didn't know that they were not simple peasants. Hitting the body of the powerful demon, he broke his arm, shoulder, and ribs. And then it flew back a few meters. It was just a defensive force common to the demon king. The arrogant guy fell to the ground and held onto his injured arm. He shouted that he urgently needed a doctor. The first general of the demon army could not tolerate such an attitude towards his king. The students who were nearby felt a powerful force. The windows around them shattered. The first general of the demon army used his powerful force. He asked how dare that guy deliberately hit his king with his ugly body. Every bit of his pathetic torso, he was going to tear it into small pieces and throw it to the hungry monsters of the demon kingdom. The first general grabbed the arrogant guy and lifted him up with his magic. He told him to rejoice, for his life would be raised by the first subordinate of the great demon lord. Daziel watched this and thought this guy was going to be the end of him. Something caught his attention. A sweet scent with a touch of holiness hit him right in the nose, as well as a voice and the familiar sound of footsteps. It was the same powerful white-haired girl. She was talking to some other girl who was walking beside her. The young king remembered what she had told them, and she told him if he harmed even one person in this kingdom, she would continue their battle and fight with all her might. The first general had already prepared to destroy that arrogant guy by wiping him out. Daziel realized that killing him was a very bad idea. He used his power called super acceleration. It allowed him to accelerate so fast that the whole world seemed to freeze. It was like everything was frozen. It was like super speed. But even with this super speed, the young king thought about the fact that he didn't have time to save that guy, because his general was also incredibly strong and fast. If he didn't make it in time, she would kick him out of the academy, and he would lose his only chance to study love. Then there is no other choice. He used an ancient 5th-level dark magic called space and time control. Combined with his speed, he made a rift in space and time. At the same moment, he quickly threw his first general and that guy into that rift. And then that rift closed. All of this happened for less than 1 second. The girls who were talking to each other didn't even realize anything. They continued to talk about their daily activities. The young girl with green eyes suggested that she try to go to other diversity classes. But still, the holy girl felt for a second she got goosebumps from the dark magic. She had a good reason to stay in the exorcist class for now. Looking around, she realized what was the matter. Right in front of her stood the very same demon king. He greeted her and said that he didn't expect to see her here, but the girl realized that something was wrong with him. She asked him what he was up to this time. The white-haired guy said that, why would she think he was up to something? Sylvia thought that even though he looks like an idiot, He's still the Demon King. Maybe it's all a ruse, a cover for his dirty deeds. Then she decided to check the whole academy for dark magic, and immediately turned on her heightened senses. The entire academy was immediately covered by a force field that scanned every millimeter of the neighborhood. Daziel asked what was wrong. Did she just decide to activate her skill for no reason? Sylvia decided that she should use all her holy skills to be sure. In order to protect every living thing in the academy from darkness, she used everything she could, such as atonement, guardian spirit, divine melody, angel's mercy, radiance, purification, and many other skills. All the students around felt a good feeling. They felt as if a blessing had descended on them. Some felt the holy power sparking within it. They realized that if they were not mistaken, it was the saint's abilities. They decided to prepare for defense since they thought they were being attacked. Daziel wondered why she was doing this. Did she find out something she wasn't supposed to find out? Now she was going to get mad and kick him out of the academy for sure. She looked at his face and thought that he looked like he was holding something very heavy. He must have compressed his dark magic to the point where she couldn't even catch it. That's why he had that look on his face. Now the girl decided to use more holy power. Her companion was frightened. The entire academy was enveloped by even more powerful force. It was a holy veil and a sacred ground. After scanning the area so thoroughly, the girl stopped and exhaled. Sylvia pointed her finger at the Demon King and said that she didn't find anything suspicious this time, so he was lucky. Well, let him just try to do something weird. I swear he'll like what she'll do to him. The green-eyed girl asked her if she often does such things. The girl with divine power answered that she does such things sometimes. You could say that she was born to fight demons. The green-eyed girl asked Sylvia if she had a love quarrel with that guy. Sylvia shouted that it was all rumors and she had a duty to fulfill. No dating, especially not with the Demon King. After a while, the first general begged his king to forgive him. He didn't think at the time that he was emitting a demonic aura. The first general was very angry at the time, and so I forgot all about it. This put their disguise in jeopardy, and the king had to intervene. The first general said he was a piece of uselessness, and he would proudly accept punishment in the strictest way. He begged him to order him to kill 100 royal hydras or destroy 1,000,000 monsters in 24 hours. But he was most afraid lest his king abandon him and take away his status as the supreme first mate. Daziel replied not to worry so much. The general replied that his king was very kind to him, and his behavior was not the reason why he used space and time control. A long time ago, he used it to absorb an entire dungeon. Good thing he remembered here in such a useful and powerful skill. This thing is good for practicing his new magical abilities, so he decided to take it home with him. If it wasn't for all this, the hero would definitely recognize it. Then the young king asked the general what they would do with that man. He also added that he would prefer not to spill any more blood while they were here. The general replied that he had done a very smart thing. That man had learned an important lesson. Now this walking trash has become a loyal subject of the Demon King. He kept repeating that the Demon King is the best in the whole world. The general replied that it was honey to his ears to hear such cries in this place. The general approached that guy and said that now that he stood a drop better than a normal person, he would bestow him, and immediately applied dark regeneration. The guy felt that his arm didn't hurt anymore. It was amazing. He thanked the demon who healed him. And then he looked at his hand and saw that it was somehow very transformed. The general said that was great. He had improved his hand so that he would not be disgraced as a follower of the Demon King. The guy immediately began to break everything around him. His hand became a powerful force. Now he could destroy anything. He liked it very much. The Demon King saw it and thought that it was very exciting. It turns out that people also love power. That guy already thought that with this hand he could rise to the rank of a church knight in no time. And then he realized that it was a demonic hand. The church would kill him immediately. The next events unfolded in the castle of the Demon King. The first general bragged to a girl named Luna that he was the first to experience the control of space and time of the king. And if you've seen this far, then you must like this video. We continue. In those demon lands where the Demon King's castle was located, it was always dark. The Demon King would return to his castle for a while. And before going to the academy, he would transform into human form. Daziel once again reminded his subordinate not to forget that they should not stand out among the humans. The first general replied that he understood. It was time for the teleportation. The first general was very happy that no other general had teleported as many times as he had. The young Demon King had to visualize in his head where he wanted to be transported to Aend. At that moment was being transported. When they finally teleported, they realized they had made a mistake. A lot of people gathered. They were frightened and did not understand what it was. They shouted that these people appeared out of thin air. They are clearly not human. The demon general suggested to his king that they change the teleportation point. Dazael ordered his subordinate to deal with the eyewitnesses. The general replied that he would gladly kill them all. The demon king replied that there was no need to destroy anyone, just change the memory. Dazael walked around the academy for a while looking for something. At last he found the right place. It had to come to him from the beginning. He put his hand on the fence and some sort of magic sign appeared on it. He smiled and thought it was just what he needed. Now he was going to leave. Sylvia was already here. She was looking at Dazael with a disapproving look. She asked him what he was doing in front of her door. He told her that he was setting up a new teleportation point. No one walks here, so it should be safe. The girl said that was because it was her private residence. Now, all the students went to the classes they chose when they joined here. By the way, this Manhwa is called Retired Demon King. All the students were greeted by a man named Edward Endure, and he will be their instructor for the rest of this year. Today is their first year in the Exorcist class. Edward counted the students and thought that every year there were fewer and fewer students, and this time there were more commoners than nobles. But he turned to everyone and told them not to worry about it. In his eyes, they were all the chosen ones. He demonstrated advanced Mother of Her Light, advanced fire magic, and of course honed close combat skills. Eventually, he would make them masters of all these skills so they could proudly call themselves exorcists, those who specialize in destroying the enemies of mankind, that is demons. After this short demonstration, he thought about how damn cool he was, although activating two types of magic at the same time. It's pretty hard. All the students were very happy and welcomed their new mentor. They said that it is excellent and magnificent. Light magic, and he also has an unusual aura of fire. Only our heroes thought that it is some every day. In the kingdom of demons, even a baby can simultaneously control 5 types of magic. And he also specified that they shouldn't forget that they are special. Even the Lady Saint herself chose this class. And of course, they were taught by him, the greatest and most capable exorcist of all time. And no one among humans could be better suited for this role. He was the one who had fought face-to-face with the Demon King himself, he said. Edward offered to tell that long before the Lady Saint herself came into this world. It was a great battle. It was there that he made his name famous, and the scars on his face literally bleed. Every time he remembers that day, the general asked his king if it was true, why he had never heard of this man. This is unacceptable. But that man didn't even realize that right in front of him was a demon king who had absolutely no idea who this Edward was. The instructor continued to brag and said that everyone here probably knows about the infamous Battle of the Twins, even after 25 years. He remembers that day will be yesterday. Then he managed to survive the monstrous attack of the Demon King. Finally, Dazael started to remember something. As it turned out, really, something like that had happened. The general asked if it was all true. He had read all the books about his wars, followed his every move, never let a single detail slip. But he had never heard of this guy. Dazael told him that it was a few years ago. He was in a pile of soldiers, right there. In the midst of all those troops, he was standing there and shivering with fear. The general was amazed that his king was able to remember even such an insignificant creature. It impressed him greatly. Dazael replied that it was nothing special. Sylvia watched those guys. She could see that they were talking about something very animated, probably preparing another villainous plan. After a few minutes of bragging, Edward said they could continue with the class. He showed them the stone and told them to hit this special stone. Magic is definitely an important thing for exorcists, and he wants to see how they handle it. But don't worry too much. Even if someone manages to leave scratches on this stone, it's an achievement. It's designed specifically for training knights. So does anyone have any questions? Sylvia raised her hand and asked if they could only use light magic for this practice. After all, it is the most important element for exorcists, and after all, it is a weak point for demons. The instructor raised his hand up and said that as I expected Mrs. Saint, he is very happy to have her in his class, and they will do so in this exercise using only the beam of light. Sylvia thought to myself that this is great. Demons can't use light magic, so these two will be kicked out of the academy and everyone will live in peace. The instructor said the silver-haired one would go first. Dazael and the general were talking about something. The general said that the calculation was not perfect, but it was all he could do in a few minutes. The king replied that it would be enough and he could handle it from there, and his subordinate did a great job. And then, the Demon King used the concentration of magical particles in the air and create an acceptable amount of radiation in the form of light, and then turn the dark base with a certain magical form so as to imitate the holy aspect. It seemed to be starting to work. Time to try out this dark light magic. The general rejoiced. He thought that this was exactly what one would expect from the king. Sylvia was incredibly surprised. She thought it looked like a joke. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked this video and would like to see the app, then post it in the comments. If I see good activity in the form of comments and likes, then I will do the next installment. Also, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and click on the bell so you don't miss the new video. Also, check out the other videos on my channel. See you soon.